Hey, I'm Jeremy. Welcome back to Rugby Informer. Just a little look at the latest happenings in round 2 of the Rugby Championship. So the Springboks wrapped up their Australia tour with a pretty convincing 30-12 win over Australia. But to be fair, anyone who watched that game will know that the Boks had to fight a lot harder than what that scoreline suggested, because Perth threw an absolute monster of a rainstorm during the majority of the game, which really picked up kind of in the middle part towards the latter half of the game. The rain was absolutely pouring down. So due to the rain, obviously it wasn't the free-flowing, super exciting running rugby game that people probably expected it would be. The rain ended up making it very much about a tactical, territorial kicking game, where both sides were basically using up and unders, short grubber kicks, and chips over the top to try and force errors from the other side. And to be fair, the Wallabies, I actually thought, adapted really well to the rain in the early part of the game. They were the ones that were kind of spearheading the kicking game, putting Colby, Fassi, and Mapimpi under some immense pressure with some bombs and some sneaky little tactical kicks that, they were finding space out wide, they were finding space in the backfield, and really turning the back three of the Springboks around and forcing them to quickly scoop up the ball and return kicks themselves. But to their credit, the Springboks maybe wanted to play a bit more of an expansive game initially, but I think they quickly realized that the rain was not going to allow them to do that. So they slowly adapted into a very conservative, strategic game where they were just really trying to play Australia in their own half. And it kind of became a little bit of a ping-pong match between the two teams. I'd have to say that I think the Springboks won that kicking duel. Even though the Wallabies were catching the Boks off guard a little bit, they scrambled, scooped up the ball, and then found space themselves, returning the kick. So, in years gone by, I think it's an area the Springboks actually struggled with a little bit, was kind of adapting to more extreme weather conditions. They seem to have struggled a little bit with their tactical kicking game and adapting to kind of play without the ball a little bit. We saw a bit of them having their hand forced into playing that way during the 2023 World Cup, where that's some very tough, tight encounters and some pretty wet, slippery conditions. And to be fair, they really adapted well in Perth. After that initial quick counter-attack that they scored down the wing with Makazole Mapimpi putting through an excellent little kick for Achilles Fassi. And on that note, it's fantastic to see Mapimpi actually doing a little bit of the playmaking or seeing the vision to put through a kick, rather than him always being the one chasing. It's quite great that, him and Fassi or him and Colby have the ability to chop and change, where if someone's on the outside that's got a bit of speed and the fullbacks, has joined the line, any one of those players is able to put through these great little attacking kicks, rather than just relying on a Willie LaRue or a Sasha Feinberg Ngumazulu to do these types of kicks. So the fact that the wingers are setting up tries for the fullbacks and vice versa, that's really, really exciting to see, because it really keeps the defense guessing that these attacking opportunities can come from any player on the field. And South Africa really are developing these players that are kind of like Swiss Army knives, who have the ability to finish, create tries, defend, tackle, do whatever they need to. It doesn't really matter if it's a winger gets the ball or a flanker gets the ball. They know when it's time to attack, and they know when it's time to play conservatively and put a kick through. Back to the Boks struggling in the rain a little bit. They did really well to scoop up some really sneaky tactical kicks by the Wallabies, keeping it low on the grass, slipping and sliding. Colby scooped up a few tricky ones, was able to beat a defender or two, and then bang through a return kick, one of which was almost a 50-22. So the Boks really had their game plan worked out. They were obviously told or informed that play in the Australian half, try and get the ball out of your half as fast as possible. The backfield looked completely composed and well positioned to handle some of the Wallabies kicks that were coming off in the first half. They did find a bit of space with a nice cross kick late in the game that Jorgensen picked up and kind of made a bit of ground on, which was a really good move by Noah Lolosio. But barring that, the Boks seemed to be on top of any kicks. Even if they were bouncing, the Boks had players surrounding the ball in order to kind of clean it up and give the receiving player the opportunity to do a return kick. And obviously, sending kicks downfield is just one side of this kind of game plan to keep the ball in the other team's half. Receiving them's a whole other story. And another shout out to Apelele Fassi, who I thought raised the bar once again at fullback. There's no doubt he's really good in the air and receiving some really challenging kicks. But often we see him having a go and having a run back at the line, perhaps stepping one or two players and sparking a really nice counterattack, which is obviously the ideal scenario. But he even adapted well. You could see he knew that the kicks the Wallabies were putting through were really good and really contestable kicks. He was getting the ball under pressure, so he didn't really have enough time to run and step and move around the field. But when he was taking a challenging kick, he was just very securely getting the ball out the air, out jumping the Wallabies chasers. His vertical leap is extremely impressive. He seems to get above even some of the bigger forwards when they're chasing. And when he did get the ball and had the time, he was putting through great returning kicks, whether he was keeping them infield to kind of force the Wallabies' backs to turn around and chase it, or he was finding touch. He was doing a fantastic job, and I don't think he did a thing wrong. And he was lucky enough to pick up a try for his hard efforts, which was, again, a fantastic kick by Makazole Mapimpi. But fantastic chase, fantastic speed from Fassi. And even though he wasn't that type of fullback to play, conservative test rugby, I think he's showing that he can do it if he needs, and then also be the weekend special when he wants to and have a run. So fantastic effort by Fassi. He was my man of the match for the game. And yeah, it's just fantastic to see the Boks kind of adapting to the weather conditions a little bit better than they used to. And while it might not be everyone's cup of tea in terms of a grand spectacle of running rugby, sometimes you just got to do that in order to win these test matches. So they leave Australia 2 for 2, which is a pretty good start for the Boks. It was a tough tour for them. It was long. It was difficult conditions. Against the Wallabies side, who, they're kind of going through their growing pains at the moment, but there's a lot of heart and a lot of spark in that Wallaby team. We saw glimpses of it with some of their attacking. A guy like Kurabeti coming back had a massive impact. I mean, he was an absolute menace for the Boks, and he put in a try-saving tackle on Peter Steph Tutoy that could have made the scoreline look a lot worse for the Wallabies. So there's a lot of hope for them, I think. Maybe they just need to get some more personnel and kind of find a greater identity for the type of rugby they want to play. But in terms of like a tactical kicking game, running rugby, being ambitious, I mean, there's that Wallaby DNA there. They just need to kind of refine what they're all about. But great game for the Boks, great tour for the Boks. Their next challenge is a biggie, playing the All Blacks, who looked a lot better against Argentina, who seemed to kind of capitulate and let their emotions get the better of them and kind of blurred at Eden Park there. I think we're all excited to see the Boks go up against the long rivals of the All Blacks, and yeah, we can't wait to see that. So please leave your comments below. Remember to hit like, hit subscribe, share the video with any friends who you think might be interested, all that jazz, and I will see you in the next one.